Ganagoa, peace everyone, welcome. We're going to be covering our next Nakshatra here. We're joined with Isaac from Down the Wombat Hole. We're here with my friend Alex. We're going to be giving you a tutorial on Vedic Astrology. We're very excited to present this material at no cost to you. Please consider becoming a member to support what we're doing. So y'all, tell us about this Nakshatra.
So we're going to be looking at Rohini Nakshatra today. Rohini contains one prominent Bohemian fixed star known as Aldebaran. And this fixed star plays a really big role in terms of how life plays out for the native. Do you want to talk about this more, Isaac?
Yeah, for sure. So, as Alex said, related to the fixed star Aldebaran, so it's part of the fixed star cross. We did Regulus and Antares last time, and so this is pretty much opposite Antares, and it's often sort of astronomically sort of it's referred to as it's sort of like almost like what would you call it, a grand arch almost across the ecliptic or across the zodiac. So it's very significant in that sense with its association with Aldebaran. There's also a link sort of thematically or mythologically to the idea of Adam and Eve. So we're right at the start of the sidereal zodiac here. So Aldebaran is the eye of Taurus, the bull. So we're right sort of, in the second constellation, you might say. So in some senses, the vibe here is somewhat sort of primitive, if you want to sort of put it that way. And we see with Kritika, there's this sort of very masculine activating energy. Whereas when we get to Rohini, it's more we see the feminine come in more both, particularly through the moon. I believe, Alex, it's a moon ruled nakshatra. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so Eve as sort of this feminine archetype coming in, embodying both the moon in terms of being receptive and nurturing, but also Venus in a lot of ways. So I think we can understand the sort of archetype of Rohini in a lot of ways as sort of imagining Venus conjunct moon in Taurus. You sort of get that very feminine, receptive, somewhat earthy, but also sort of, this sort of primitiveness in a way. There's a bit of a childlike naivety about it, and the concerns of Rohini are very, very in ways sort of sensual, but to do with like the idea of like procreation and abundance and just sort of immersing oneself in a fairly straightforward way with the sensual aspects of the world. Yeah, interested to know how you think about that, Alex.
I would agree with that. I would want to add a little bit more onto Kritika and Rohini and their connection. So
Yeah, cool.
I'm going to go even a little bit further. Barney is the nakshatra of being born or being created or pushed out of the womb into this world. Out of the womb through the vagina into this world. Kritika is learning how to survive based off your own instincts and your own intuition, and creating tools such as stone axes or primitive other primitive skills that would help you survive. Rohini is essentially all about creating whatever you want or whatever you desire, because the moon is signified with desire. The moon also is signified by one's imagination, which is what Rohini is very well known for. So Rohini is essentially associated with being able to clothe yourself, being able to teach yourself things, or have a basic education or basic understanding of how the world works. And it's at a stage where the child is very easily influenced and malleable to the world around them, and they're very influenced by any sort of stimuli in their environment. And Rohini is associated with being able to maintain stability against its environment. Whereas a Kritika really struggles too long with Barney, Rohini's finally getting that stability or that nurturing or that warmth.
Yeah, nice. So there's a lot of second house second house themes or overlaps there, isn't there? The idea of like, having a comfortable, secure place. I guess if we sort of play off that, so that second house, then we also have an eighth house polarity, which you might associate more with like Jayasha, as that sort of darker, more ambitious, willing to sort of go to the far less comfortable places. We do have sort of access there. So I know there was a really good summary online by Claire Nakti, and she looks at Tim Burton as a Rohini native who actually explores that eighth house stuff, the sort of the darkness, the shadows, but in a very playful, but also like still within a very comfortable, from a comfortable perspective. There's still, if you think about some of the things that Tim Burton did. So like, what did he do? The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, and a few other those sort of things. Like they're sort of exploring horror from a very still a sort of innocent, naive place, I guess. And so we get that with this when we see the shadow of Rohini come out. It's still based in this place of comfort and security in the way it sort of goes about exploring the I guess the deeper and darker aspects of that axis.
With Rohini specifically, it's very childlike since it's associated with starting to grow up from the stages of infancy and entering the prime of childhood. Rohini, essentially, along with Mrigashira somewhat, but we could get to that in another video. With Rohini specifically, it's associated with being able to gain a sense of stability and security within their environment and being able to explore it and play with it freely without fear of any of the sustenance that Rohini is dependent on being taken away from it.
Yeah, interesting. So mythologically, in terms of the Vedic myths, in terms of the deities or the gods who occupy each of the lunar mansions. So Rohini is the abode of Brahma, which is sort of creator. So the creative essence, everything which is sort of good and blissful.
Is that like a Yahweh or demiurge kind of energy, or
similar? That's why Rohini is so powerful. But I would say what makes it different is that the one true creator is Brahman, not Brahma. And Brahma is just a part of Brahman, or the one true God that Brahman shows in its likeness in terms of how God creates different aspects of our reality. So in Hinduism, there's 33 million gods, but there's one true God that everyone looks up to, and it's Brahman, and that's the creator. It's similar to Yahweh in Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, so ruled by the moon. So the moon would be the most closest planet to understanding this. But I think there's it's very feminine. So you would include Venus in there as well, for sure. And because Venus is, after all, the ruler of Taurus as a sign, as a zodiac sign. So I think, this sort of combination of like Venus and Moon in Taurus is a pretty good starting point to understand it. And then you'll see the second house themes come in there as well, in terms of security, comfort, having control of our what we classify as our shelter or our abode. So all those themes come through really, really clearly. And by combining all those things, all these very feminine qualities, in a sense, we can see then why it's been known as the most favoured nakshatra, and where the moon likes to be. And if we think so, in tropical astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus because it shares a lot of those same qualities. And so then we sort of see, in the same sort of archetypal sense, why we might consider Rohini to be such a favoured location for the moon in, I guess, from the Vedic sense as well. So, yeah.
I will say this, though. There's a difference between favored and auspicious. I don't want to confuse the two. So favored would be saying that it is well liked or people would prefer. Auspicious would be referring to how good it is for the native as a whole in terms of the overall quality of the native's life.
Oh, I know what chart we can put up if you guys like this idea or not. So Sun has Rohini on his ascendant.
Yeah, very obvious link there with the tight conjunction. I think it was, within a few degrees. And that was also very close to his descendant as well. So, someone who would like to feel, who wants to feel secure and who feels at home and at peace and doing their best work within a very secure, comfortable, sensual relationship. Just putting those two together, Sun Rohini in the seventh house, you can see how that need for relationship security would come in.
Now, he told me that he feels like he'd be the most comfortable in like the highest class, like the aristocratic class. So he feels very uncomfortable not being like an aristocrat. Would that be like related to this, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Whoa, tell me more, Alex.
So, Rohini is known for its desire to be of a greater caste or of a higher class. Even though Rohinis can have sometimes very modest births, they do want to rise and accumulate a lot of wealth and money. They are very obsessed with wealth and money because of the way it makes them look and feel, and how that makes them get attention from others in society. Because people put a huge emphasis on wealth in just society as a whole, and the wealthier you are, the more likable or attractive you are. By a lot of
Okay, I have another fascinating question. I'm really curious to see. There must be a strong Rohini element in the world today, maybe, because there seems to be such an obsession with wealth. Am I faltering here in my understanding?
I think you're right. I would say that not just wealth though, but career, status, etc. But that could be other nakshatras. But I would say what makes Rohini different than other nakshatras that are associated with these different types of values is that Rohini wants to make a name for itself. Rohini can be a very ambitious nakshatra, and they usually are able to achieve the ambitions that they desire.
It sounds very American. Sounds very, very American.
I would agree with that.
Well, I mean, it's very much getting caught up in the materiality of the world, and what engages our senses, and what is pleasing, and what leads to material abundance and material creation and procreation, I think. And so I know I have seen some sort of cautionary tales about Rohini in terms of getting too caught up in the sensual nature of the world, and so affairs, just not being able to sort of wanting to have that security and that stability, but then also just wanting to engage in the physicality, in the pleasure of everything, and wanting to do that, as Alex said, in a quite ambitious way. So still wanting to sort of move up and go from experience to experience, and a higher experience, and a more sensual, immersive experience. So yeah, there's definitely.
And guys, if you wanna see what he just said, look up the movie. Guys, go to Peacock, and there's this show called Brave New World, and it's like exactly what he just said. So if you want to see a really cool philosophical show based on Huxley's novel Brave New World, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, sure.
TV show, they spent $150 million on it. It totally flopped because it was too profound, in my opinion. Also, can we talk about, since we're putting up Sun's chart, Isaac, Alex, can you guys talk about how Rohini, how the aspects affect it, or just kind of like, a little bit about Sun's chart?
So in terms of suns, if we can imagine how a Rohini placement can be from just favourable, as Alex said, to actually auspicious, I guess. So Sun has his Sun trine, so trine Uranus, but also has a quite strong Jupiter Moon trine, and so his Jupiter's in this second house. So we see again quite a strong link in terms of this sort of expansiveness, abundance, or wealth in terms of second house things like physical assets, wealth, a sense of comfort and security. But with that Jupiter trine to the moon, there's a sense of fortune there as well, which sort of adds to this scene as a more favourable placement. But Sun does have his Sun in Rohini opposite Pluto, quite close to his ascendant. So then you'll sort of see a little interesting dynamic there between wanting to have this Rohini security with also wanting to this Plutonic need to very much transform ourselves and constantly push ourselves into new depths, into new sort of dark places, and to constantly take on new challenges. So then you can see how there will be some a bit of a polarity there in his personality between a seventh house sort of Rohini Sun and then a first house.
Magnifico, brilliant. I also wanted to ask, why do I feel angry? Like, when I hear about Rohini, it like makes me angry when I hear about it. Alex, why am I angered by it?
Probably because it represents the beginning of a lot of evils that the world succumbs to that are easily preventable from your perspective.
Well, I mean, astrologically, why in my chart, what makes me angry at it? I'm
my
curious.
God.
That's what I meant.
Sorry, I know the reason why. In sidereal, your ascendant is in Punarvasu in Gemini. Your Mercury is in Jesha, and Jesha, Mercury aspects the 12th house where Rohini Nakshatra is in your chart. You are possibly very envious that other people are so materialistic and greedy and selfish and only act on their own selfish desires and impulses, and it makes you jealous and angry because they're taking it all for themselves and then it's hurting other people.
And that's specifically Mercury,
And
the Mercurian.
Yes, it's your first.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean, and you have a very strong Saturn as well, and there isn't much of a Saturnian vibe about Rohini. It's fair to say. So yeah, that might also be a sort of a dimension of it as well, potentially.
How dare they have fun and spend money? How dare they do that? Money's bad. That's how I feel. My soul feels about it.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good overview. I don't know if there's anything else, Alex, you had to finish off.
I would also want to talk about I can go on a lot more about Rohini, honestly. Rohini is,
and also all the association. Yeah. Oh, perfect. You're reading my mind.
Rohini's Rohini's deity is Brahma, which is the god of creation in Hinduism. There are three gods that are responsible for the creation, destruction, and preservation of the universe: Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, respectively. Rohini represents an aspect, the creation aspect of Brahma. So Rohini is able to create anything that comes to its mind, but Rohini is focused on its utility or use. And the utility use is supposed to benefit the native in some way. So
I have to say something. Do you know what's so profound about what you just said is that Sun, as an intuitive dominant, if anyone knows about Jungian analytical psychology, has the rarest ability to conjure the future and eliminate all the possibilities and bring about his manifestation into the world as an INFJ using that. It's so, yeah, what you're saying, spot on. For Sun, being his ascendant, just bursting with this Rohini energy. And like all the things that you were saying about Rohini, that I immediately think about him, his personality. So you can really start to see how the information that we're giving you guys, you can, say you just met someone, you look up, okay, what's this? Okay, Rohini. Now you have this huge encyclopedia of information to draw upon about this person, the deepest depths that it might take you years to learn about the person, and or even a business or a country. The astrology is limitless, is infinite. It's a whole fractal. So you can see how versatile and powerful these ideas are. So we really appreciate you falling in love with these ideas as much as we do. Continue.
Mm-hmm. So, with Rohini specific, it's associated with creating any idea you want and coming to life and having a user practicality to it. That's why it's associated with the ox car. It has a utility. It is able to distribute grain or using livestock, the ox. You're putting an animal to work and you're making the animal do the work for you. The Rohini's ability to find utility in anything is what allows it to become successful. It also connects to its Shakti too, or its ability to create anything from anywhere, pretty much. And that's the reason why Rohini is associated with farming is because Rohini is able to sustain itself based off its own understanding of how different things can be utilized to help or nourish other people. And Rohini is also associated with being able to clothe yourself, teach yourself different concepts, like the basics of different concepts, being able to provide for yourself or take care of yourself at a very basic level. Because this is the area of childhood that is learning how to become more independent from your parents, not just like being like potty trained and being able to eat and stuff like that with Kritika and even loosely Barney.
Is this second? Would you say this is second chakra or first?
Throat chakra. It's associated with the throat chakra because Rohinis also are known for their good speech or their good public speaking abilities. They're very good orators, in my opinion. And all these abilities is what allows them to gain fame and prominence within their life. That's why Aldebaran is one of the 15 Bohemian fixed stars. It's that ability to give and sustain that themselves and others, and be able to give that to other people, which Rohini eventually will learn how to do, is what allows it to be successful in life.
Yeah, did you have anything else, Alex, to add? Because I know you were getting into
the thing is that I could go on for hours. I would not do that. I would want just to give a basic overview, so I think that's enough for now for me.
Yeah, no, cool. Yeah, I think we sort of really covered the main parts, didn't we? So yeah.
Oh yeah, beautiful. So thanks to everyone who joined. We appreciate everyone from Witch and Synth. If you're watching this, we really appreciate you stopping by here and taking your time. Everyone have a beautiful evening. May the violet light of Guanyin illuminate your path. May everything that you wish be granted in perfect timing. May you increase, the light and illumination of Christ fill and emanate your soul. May you be in the highest timelines. May you eliminate the suffering of all sentient beings and continue on your path of spiritual sovereignty. Sagana Goa. Peace.